Hey everybody, I'm here today with a driving lesson on driving on a main road. In this video, I'll be driving on a main road and giving you some tips for driving on main roads as I do it. Now let's get right to it. I'm actually just going to move ahead over here, and the main road is up ahead. So right now I'm on sort of a minor road or a side street. The main road is just over here, so I'm gonna go ahead and make my way to the main road. Now, first and foremost, I want to talk about speed and speed control on a main road, okay? So speed and speed control. While you're driving on a main road, you want to make sure that you are driving, the speed limit as your maximum speed. So this road that I'm driving right here, the speed limit is 50 kilometers per hour. The weather conditions are pretty much ideal because there's snow on the sides of the road, but on the area of the road that I'm driving, there's no snow on the road. So the road conditions are pretty much ideal. They're slightly wet, but I would say that they're ideal because there's no ice. The temperature is cold, but they feel very, very ideal. So with that being said, I'm gonna follow the flow of traffic and I'm gonna sort of maintain that 50 kilometer an hour speed. Now, with regards to speed control, ideally, I want to be able to drive at 50 kilometers an hour because that's the speed limit, or at least close to that. But if there's traffic like there is right now, then I might have to drive a little bit slower. So you want to try and maintain the speed limit, but if you have to drive a bit slower because of traffic or congestion, then obviously you have to drive a bit slower. So you have to go with the flow of traffic. That's what I want to talk about with regards to speed. Now the next thing I want to talk about is staying in a lane and choosing a lane. So obviously you should stay in one lane for the most part unless you need to switch. Now I see people weaving in and out between lanes and they think that they're getting somewhere faster, but in reality they're only saving like 30 seconds to a minute on their commute. So with that being said, it will greatly reduce your chances of getting into an accident if you pretty much just stay in one lane. Now the other thing that I want to talk about with regards to choosing a lane is you should be choosing the appropriate lane. Now, I know that I'm going to be making a left-hand turn soon, so that's why I'm staying in the left lane. If I had to make a right-hand turn, I would go into the right lane. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and I'll be making my left-hand turn very soon. I thought this was the street, but it's not. You want to choose the lane that you need to be in. If I'm in the right lane and I know that I'm going to be making a left-hand turn very soon, then I should switch to the left-hand lane in advance, because that will allow me to sort of get into the lane, the appropriate lane in advance. I don't want to be switching lanes at the last minute saying, oh, I have to make a left, let me in, let me in, let me in. That is what causes accidents. That is what causes angry drivers. So with that being said, get into the right lane, or the appropriate lane, right or left, I should say. Get into the appropriate lane earlier than you need to. If you know you have to make a left soon, get into the left lane as soon as you can. If you know you have to make a right soon, get into the right lane as soon as you can. The next thing that I want to talk about is following distance, okay? Now, so many accidents happen because people follow too closely. So with that being said, what you want to do is you want to not follow too closely. Now, a good rule of thumb for driving on a main road, driving the speed limit on a main road with ideal weather conditions is about 3 seconds of a following distance. Now, I'll explain to you how to measure that. You want to measure your following distance in seconds. This is how you do it. You look at the car in front of you that you're following, and you start counting when they pass a milestone. Let's say a traffic light. You start counting, and you stop counting when you pass that traffic light. So let's say the car in front of me passed a traffic light. I would start counting 1, 2, 3. And if I pass the traffic light when I got to 3, that means that I have a 3-second following distance. Now, 3 seconds is a good rule of thumb for a safe following distance if you're in ideal weather conditions, okay? If it's snowing, if it's icy, if it's raining, then you want to increase that amount just a little bit or a lot, depending on how bad the weather conditions are. Speaking about weather conditions, the next thing that I want to talk about are road conditions. When you're driving on a main road, you have to drive according to the road conditions. If the road is in ideal shape, it's dry, it's not raining, it's not snowing, it's not icy, it's not windy, then the speed limit is there for that reason. Meaning, I am on a 50 kilometer per hour maximum speed limit main road. That means that if all weather conditions are ideal, I should be driving at about 50 kilometers an hour. But if it's snowing, raining, windy, foggy, icy, any weather conditions that are not ideal, then guess what? That number has to be reduced. I have to bring that number down. I can't drive at 50 kilometers an hour because that's the speed limit for ideal road conditions. When road conditions are not ideal, I have to reduce it, let's say to 40 kilometers an hour or even less, 30 kilometers an hour, okay? The next thing that I want to talk about are traffic lights. If you're on a main road, chances are that you're going to encounter a lot of traffic lights. Be prepared for what to do at traffic lights. Don't just drive through them and just go ahead and drive through them as if they don't exist. Look at the light in advance. You know, if it's a red light, approach it accordingly. If it's a yellow light, approach it accordingly. If it's a green light, approach it accordingly. But always just take a quick look, because you really never know. You think you're going to a green light, you're driving through the intersection, you don't know, if everyone's going to stop. Someone might run a red light and that can cause an accident. So just take a quick glance before you drive through traffic lights, okay? And with that being said, just like I said, be prepared. If it's a yellow light, and if it's a green light, if it's a red light, you want to approach the lights accordingly on a main road. When you're driving on a highway, chances are you're not going to encounter any lights or very few lights. When you're driving on a side street or a minor road, you're not going to encounter any lights or very few lights. But if you're driving on a main road, you're probably going to encounter lots of traffic lights, okay? Pedestrians or cyclists, be aware, know the rules and the laws for cyclists and pedestrians where you live, and be aware of them. You don't want to just, you have to understand that they are people too. Even though you're driving a car, they're riding a bicycle or walking or doing whatever they're doing on the sidewalk. You need to be aware of them and treat them with respect, and treat them accordingly with respect, and also according to the law in where you live. And last but not least, the final thing that I want to go over, I'm just trying to get back onto the main road, but unfortunately there's a ton of traffic. The last thing that I want to talk about are cars beside you. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to drive on a main road when there's a ton of space and you're driving with cars beside you, okay? So what you want to do is you want to drive accordingly. So right now there's a lot of traffic, so obviously I'm going to have to drive with cars beside me. But you want to try and stagger yourself, okay? So meaning, if there's not a lot of congestion and I'm driving here and there's a car beside me, but there's a ton of space ahead, then I should either slow down or speed up. This way, if someone needs to switch lanes, if someone wants to pass me, they can do that, because we're not just driving like we're leading a pack, okay? We need to drive staggered as much as possible. Like I said, if you can tell in the video, there's just a lot of traffic right now. There's a ton, it's very congested here, so I have to drive with cars beside me. But I mean, if you're driving on a main road and you're driving the speed limit, and there's just you and a car beside you, and there's a ton of space ahead of you and cars behind you per se, then you want to stagger yourself. And also try to avoid driving in someone's blind spot for a long period of time. Now, like I said, right now there's not much room to move, so I'm gonna probably be in someone's blind spot for a while. But with that being said, if it's just very few cars on the road, try to avoid driving in someone's blind spot for a while, because what might happen is they're going to assume that you're not there because they don't see you in their mirrors after they check their mirrors 3 or 4 times. And then with that being said, they just might switch lanes without checking their blind spot, which might cause an accident. So with that being said, just try to avoid driving in someone's blind spot for a long period of time. And that also applies to driving on the highway as well. But this is about driving on a main road, and it applies to a main road, so I just wanted to go over that with you in this video. And that's basically it. Before I finish, hand positions and steering control. You want to use the appropriate hand positions. For the most part in this video, I had my hands down here, which is, a method of driving. Sometimes if you want to rest your elbows, you can hold your hands up here. You can drive with one hand. If you're switching gears, you can hold your hands over here. It all depends on your preference, but you want to make sure that you're staying centered in the lane that you're driving, and you're using steering control methods while you're driving. And that's really it. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video about driving on a main road. I just wanted to show you myself driving on a main road and give you some tips and tricks. Whoa, sorry, some ice and snow just flew off the car. Give you some tips and tricks for driving on a main road. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. What are some of your tips and tricks for driving on a main road? And did you find this video tutorial helpful? Let me know down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.